Hi guys, so we have Anmol from Srijan Engineering, Srijan Technologies, who will be joining for the next session.
Okay. Thanks, Rohit. So thanks, Rohit, and thanks, Sudeep, for a wonderful previous session. And now thanks, ENI, for having me here. So today I'm going to be talking about the team mindset journey. Uh, and that's the topic that I've chosen for this meetup. And then before I start, I just want to quickly introduce myself. So I just see some images on the screen. So I'm basically a tech lover, an agile evangelist in the industry for over 9 years, and have played various roles like Scrum Master, Product Owner, uh, and been in this space for in the agile space for more than 5 years now. And then in my current role, I'm working as a product owner in Srijan Technologies, but I also take care of the team. A quick intro about Srijan Technologies. So we are into modernizing digital platform for various enterprises, and we mostly use the open source technologies like Drupal and other which are available to help organization meet their business processes and help them out with that to either products or services and whatever is there in the market, all the new stuff and technology that's going on. Uh, the ways to reach out to me easiest is LinkedIn, and you can also email me. That's on the screen. So that was a quick introduction about myself. So without wasting any time, I'll move on to the topic. And before I start, I want to just talk about the definition of mindset before talking about agile mindset or team mindset or anything else. But just get to the grassroots of what exactly is mindset. So as you see on if you go and look up on the internet, I picked it up from dictionary.com. It says it's a habitual or a characteristic mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. So I've underlined a few keywords. So it's basically the emotions, uh, your environment, and stuff that is going on around you, which has developed certain point of view inside your mind, which basically is driving you towards the actions you're taking in your day-to-day life and in your career and wherever you are in the space. So that's what the basic definition of mindset is. And if you look at people around yourself, you'll find a lot of mindsets going on. And essentially, the mindset is the key emotion that is strong in that individual at that point in time. So you'll see a person who has an angry mindset will have actions which are determined by that particular emotion, which means that he's getting angry all the time. He's not listening to others, having, a barrier inside himself to respond to change and, just, and then you have fear mindset, you have lazy mindset, all sort of things that are going on within an individual. So how we see the world right now, just to explain what mindset is. So if you see in general with the coronavirus situation, people have a fear mindset, which means they're very uh, conservative in their approach at the moment. They're not spending that much money. If you see the stock market, they are all angry because stocks are going down. So they are in the anger mindset zone. You have our health workers who are in the warrior mindset zone, which means they want to treat and help out people and as much as they can. We had the Janta curfew when everyone appreciated the health workers, so they were showing gratitude. And we have our prime minister who's really confident in overcoming this. So certain mindsets which are playing around in the world right now, just to explain. So now coming to what is agile mindset. So agile mindset is a set of attitudes, like I was talking about the emotions that are governing certain things over here, the things that are governing and supporting agile working environment. So that mindset is basically all includes respect, collaboration, improvement, and most importantly, the learning cycles, and which will enable you to adapt to change, which is the fundamental of any agile transformation. And it is absolutely necessary to cultivate high performing teams who will deliver amazing value. So agile mindset is really helpful over there. Let's move on. What forms the basis of this mindset? So previously I was talking about, human emotions for a regular mindset. For agile mindset, we have, if you consider, it as a tree, the whole system, then the values, the agile values forms the root of the mindset of this thing. And then the trunk that you have are the 12 principles. The the branches form the framework, and then on the top you have the practices like Jira and the stuff like day-to-day practices you do, daily Scrum and whatever that may be. So if you are in this space in your zone and you are imbibing all these, then we can say that you are in the agile mindset. But we'll see further what actually happens in most cases. Now let's look at why it is important. So if we look at the 12 Agile principles that were laid down by the Agile founders, so they say that, if, so we talked about that Agile mindset is necessary to cultivate high performing teams. But when we look at the all the 12 principles, it's amazing to see that 8 out of 12 principles focus directly on teams. So that is why it becomes even more important that a team is running in an agile mindset. Otherwise, it's doomed to fail. So that's the key why it is so important for us to realize the value of agile mindset. So now let's jump to a team's journey. I'm going to take a concept from Japanese martial art. It's called shuhari. It's basically the stages from learning to mastery. So it was used in martial arts, but over time we have realized it can define our team's journey as well, in how they move from learning to a mastery stage. So when we talk about shu, the first stage, it is basically when the team is learning a new concept, how they want to work. From the industry leaders, or maybe teachers or anyone who is, so that's the learning phase. The second is basically when they step out of their comfort zone. Whatever they learned is fine, but then they try to innovate and bring new things in the way they work. And then lastly, the re stage is where they completely find their own feet and try to find new ways of working, which might be totally different from what they have learned. But the key thing is that they don't overstep the laws which are governing the underlying principles and the rules which we were talking about, in the tree that I showed before. So across this journey, I want to talk about how the mindset shift happens. Then if a team is moving from shu to ha to re. So the first is the team is basically, if it's maturing along the way, it's moving from a very process standard oriented to an innovation oriented approach. So if you see in the first phase, when the team is new, they are just learning about Scrum, Kanban, other frameworks, the practices. They use the standard formats which are taught to them: 15 minutes, what happened yesterday, what happened today, what will go on today, what will they do, any impediments and stuff like that. So that's the learning phase. Second is they try to innovate on the techniques that they have learned from the frameworks, and try to have and put their own context on and their own working scenarios in place and have a context around it, and try to innovate and build on their learnings. And these when they totally break free. A very good example is Spotify. They came up with their own model, and then that was through Agile principles, but it was their own baby, as I would say. So that's the first mindset shift that happens across from moving towards a more innovation-oriented approach. A quick example, which I was talking about before, like for example, if you're running a daily Scrum, a standard when they're learning, they're taught that you need to answer these three things: what I did yesterday, what's my plan for today, and if there are any impediments. Second stage, the team might, once it's maturing and they are in sync with each other, they'll probably add a few more items to the list. They won't, try to innovate based on their context. So they might add, someone would say, okay, I can potentially solve this impediment by doing this. So they're actually thinking about not just calling out their impediment, but also trying to find a solution if they have any. Or if they can say the fourth, they can add another point, which I've seen in teams where they say, okay, if you have a problem, I can solve it. Just contact me after the daily scrum. So, so you try to innovate, try to break free the format, and then once you're in the last stage, you probably don't need to go through this flow. You'll probably just have a quick discussion, which is to the point, and the discussion is focused towards the inspecting and adapting towards the sprint goal, and that would be concise and to the point, and not dragging, and which defeats the purpose of the daily scrum. They'll realize that the purpose is to be crisp and having a concise conversation towards the sprint goal and not sticking to any format. So that's an example of how things flow in the mindset. Let's talk about roles, how they change over the period of time in the team's journey. So when they are in shoe stage, the Scrum Master is probably a process guardian and a teacher who's teaching about Scrum, and less coaching and less mentoring and less and just trying to remove impediments and just trying to instruct the people, do this, like how Scrum says, like blindly follow that. And then second stage, people have known the process or Scrum. He'll try to become a change agent. He'll try to mentor more, coach more. So his responsibilities will change more from a teacher to a mentor to a coach. And then in the last stage, when team is matured enough, he is probably not needed, or you can eliminate a Scrum Master if it's a very mature team. Similarly, for product owners, he's a backlog manager to begin with. Second stage, you'll see more development team also contributing to writing the backlog. And finally, you'll see the whole team, product owner and dev team, working as a single unit with a lot of T-shaped skills. T-shaped skills, essentially, you have your core skill and you have some periphery skills as well. Similarly, with dev team, you'll see you'll find a lot of individual heroics, which we talked about before as well, that people would be showing off that they did this, and just because their appraisal cycle is linked to their individual contributions. And then as they mature, they'll contribute more and collaborate more with the business and try to understand what the business value actually they are giving, rather than just focusing on the best technology they want to use and learn. And then finally, there is no demarcation between product owner or dev team. They're matured enough to understand everything together. So that's the mindset shift in roles that happens. This is quite important. The mindset shift from fixed to growth mindset. So fixed mindset is basically people who have fixed mindset essentially are the people who feel that people in this world have come up with certain boundaries and talent which they have come up, and then that's the only limit that they have, and that's where the world ends. And then you do that role in a fixed way and get it done, and just not worry about anything else, because you don't have the talent and neither the other person will have that talent. And someone who are born with talent, they'll feel there's no need to do any hard work because it comes naturally to them. And then so those type of characteristics are called fixed mindset. And then you have another mindset which is called the growth mindset, which talks about you don't there's always a learning opportunity, and even if you are talented enough, you can grow to the next level by learning, failing fast, and learning, unlearning, and going about it. So they always have growth in their mind. So so with Agile, there's the growth mindset is what it's required. You have to go away with the fixed mindset inside team. But when teams start, you'll see mindset with characteristics of a fixed mindset person, and then they get upset really fast if there's failure. They'll get defensive. They might start blaming others. But when they start moving towards the stages of maturity which we talked about, they'll embrace challenges. They'll take criticism positively. They'll always start learning. They celebrate each other's success and not envy each other, and focus on the journey rather than the results, and just keep learning. So that's the mindset shift that happens. Then lastly, it's from doing agile to being agile. So initially, you're following the agile processes blindly. You're reluctant to change, uh, and then slowly you recognize the values and principles behind them. Do well with the changes. In the first stage, you need more facilitation and teaching. Next, you are need more mentoring and coaching. And lastly, when you're on restage, the team is self-organized, and their roots are strong. They have the principles and values imbibed in them, and they can innovate on build on top of them, and not much is needed to help that team. Now, where all this fails in real world, a lot of teams don't go beyond the shoe stage. That's where industry just following Scrum or Kanban as it has been told to them, and the best practices that are their industry. They don't innovate based on their context. Uh, Another failure point is a lot of people, without understanding the core values and principles, they jump to the restage, which is they try to innovate and build on uh, processes or any techniques which they think are right, but they don't probably follow, or they are not determined by the core values and principles of Agile, which means they are bound to fail. They might work in short term, but over long term, they might fail. So it's important to go through the journey of shoe to hard to read to harness the benefits. Now, what are the enablers to help you change that mindset? So from shoe to ha, I think we need to support innovation. If someone's coming up with new ideas, we need to start encouraging them as leaders or in the organization, or even a scrum master. We need to coach a lot. So remove the teaching hat uh, and wear the coaching hat, and try to get the core values and principles imbibed into the team. And then lastly, provide a psychological safety. That's really important, because if you are always in a fear mindset or a fixed mindset, that's the major problem. They don't feel that they're safe psychologically, and that's what doesn't let them break their shackles and move on to the next stage. Now, if your team is innovating, they're trying to find new things within what they have learned, then the next stage is restage, which is harder to get to. But if the management provides them freedom to express, freedom to fail fast, freedom to take risks, and uh, freedom to make revolutionary changes, then it's very high chance that the team can reach the last stage, which is the best stage to be in. Some simple techniques which might help in this journey. So as we talked about before in the previous presentation as well, like when you have success, uh, try to praise the effort and the strategies and the process, and not try to say that, oh, you are so talented, or you're so brilliant, because that will enable that person to that will help him uh, cultivate his fixed mindset even more. When we praise the effort and the strategies of the person or the process in which he worked to achieve the success, we are actually praising the growth mindset and not the fixed mindset. It's really important we praise the effort and not the talent that the person has. Instead of ignoring failures, teach other way that it's a way to learn and improve. So yeah, when we say that you have freedom to fail, but it doesn't come with the liberty that there's no learning attached to it. So if you're failing, it's also important to learn what you failed, why you failed, and use that learnings to improve. You can always tell stories about those who succeed by working through failures if you have your own stories, because humans relate to stories a lot, and that's really important to change the mindset. And if there are, like, even from the medieval times, there are tales, poems written to change, and people feel positive about things, and have a positive mindset. So stories are important. Talk about any research. Tell them that uh, your brain is actually uh, always learning and making new connections and then if you're learning, then you're growing. And so if there any research which is happening, and you have results and you've studied about, you can talk about that. Uh, Instead of blaming others in the relationship, and it means team relationship amongst members over here. So we need to remember that the whole point of a relationship is to encourage each other's development and not, the otherwise. That's why we have relationship. It's the basic fundamental is to encourage each other. And another way is to, instead of thinking yourself as a failed product, you should also keep yourself, always make yourself feel that you're always a work in progress, and then uh, there's never an end, and there's never a way that you'll stop, because even if you reach a certain point, you'll still be a work in progress. And that's the fundamental of growth mindset or an agile mindset. uh, and then lastly, instead of giving generic statement, give concrete examples of even when you see that some people have made progress, and have done something challenging in their work or in their life or wherever. So giving concrete examples really help. So these are some of the techniques. I'm sure there are a lot more which can help in changing mindset of yourself and the people around you. So now, if you see, there are you have personal agility, team agility, organizational agility, business agility, and today we are talking about team agility. So, and we talked about a lot of mindset change and how teams moving from one stage to another in their mindset journey. But team is not standing alone in the organization. It is a part of a lot of other things. So it's important to realize that the other things are also the mindset shift also happens in other areas, which is like at personal level, at organizational level, and at the business agility level, and not just at the team level. Because if the other pieces are missing, the team mindset won't change that much. So, few tips for organization leaders to enable this shift. So, recognize that the standard frameworks that we have in place are applicable to just the first stage in the team journey. Uh, so, all the Scrum, Kanban, they really help you start the process. But if you really want to achieve it, you should realize that you can help the team innovate with agile values and principles. Analyze the state of your team. Like you need to know where your team is lying. Are they just don't know anything? They're just newly to the whole agile world. So then it's better to tell them, okay, start with Scrum or do this, that. Provide them with room to fail, develop risk-taking capabilities, and there are a lot of techniques around it, how you do them, and then just provide an organizational culture which is growth-oriented and not fixed or fixed with a fixed mindset. We need to pick a Scrum Master really intelligently, because if they don't have an agile mindset, then then either in the team or in the organization, no one will have that agile mindset. So we need to see how, while we are picking our Scrum Masters, what's their mindset, how they respond to situations personally and at team level, in both ways. And then go away from stereotyping people, because even smart people can have a fixed mindset. So even if a lot of talented people you'll see in the market, they might have a fixed mindset, because they might say that, okay, I have the talent, but that's enough. I don't need to do any hard work. So if you see, and you see a very a talented person in your team, you'll be okay. Oh, this person is so nice. He's so great, and but he might have the underlying problem of not doing the hard work and growing further in his talent, and he might be fixed. So keep away from stereotyping people, and then try to keep a consistent team for a longer period of time, because it takes time to change mindset, and if you keep changing teams, then it really becomes difficult to change the mindset. So because it takes time coaching over a period of time. So now few tips for the Scrum Master we have in the house.
Uh,
Because
Anmol, very
yeah,
Anmol, very sorry to cut you down. We have a
okay,
time constraint. It's a time boxed event, and
yeah.
we need to move to Q&A session.
Okay, this is my last slide, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so the Scrum Master can just do some personality tests. uh, you need to observe in the meetings, do a lot of retrospects, and there are few books you can refer to help you understand how mind works. So it's on the screen. Lastly, agile is a mindset, but mindset in itself is agile. So it's possible to change the mindset because it in itself is learning and uh, doing all the time. And then if you are changing, then the whole world is changing with you. So that's
All right.
some references. And if you have any questions, and if we have
Yeah.
time, otherwise we can move on.
Yeah. So thank you, Anmol. It was a great insights into the agile mindset. So we have a couple of questions which has been posted in the comment section. So we have one question from Anil. How do you
Mhm.
change the human behavior who was acquired by imbibe stimulus and non-flexible habits to adopt change by agile model?
Okay. So if I'm getting the question right, you mean if someone has a fixed mindset, how do you change to growth mindset in a nutshell? Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I talked about a few techniques. Basically, you need to change the the way you talk. So, for example, one way I talked about, instead of praising their ability or talent, try to praise the process and the growth and learning and what they learned from it rather than the results, because that will enable them to think, okay, this is why I achieved it, not because I was so talented that I achieved this thing. So that's one way. Second is you need to uh, coach the person a lot, like try to see the way he's working. Is he following the agile principles? Is he using those core five values like respect, openness, trust that we have? If not, if he has achieved the results without that, then that result shouldn't mean anything to you. It should, and then how is he behaving inside the team? So I mean, the way you talk and the way you present, and then just observe how things are. Then there are few things you can use to change the mindset. Yeah, if you see the slide, these are few techniques you can use.
All right. So we have a room for one more question, so which we can
Yeah.
take it up before the next session starts. So the next question is from Vishal Verma. So how do you change the mindset of a rigid team to accept change?
Uh, so it will come gradually. It won't be easy, I would say, and then that's where it's important to have a very good scrum masters in place to begin with from the organizational point of view. And then if if the changes are coming and you see that people are not uh, changing, we need to there'll be situations where they might show behaviors which are not good for the team. So there might be certain individuals who are creating this problem for you. So you might need to find out how the mindset of each and every person in the team is like. So if there's a scrum team of say 6 people, you need to figure out, for example, which one or two people are actually in that zone which are creating the rigidity. Because I'm sure a lot of people inside the team will be in the learning mindset and growth mindset, and because of one or two, there might be the situation that the whole team is becoming a rigid. So try to identify them, try to coach them individually. And if they're not keen to learn, you can have group learning sessions. You're trying to create an environment where each one is learning from each other. If someone has done something nice, then try to uh, see that it's being shared with other people, because if we start sharing with other people, they'll also start being in the learning mindset and the growth mindset zone and become less rigid. And then once the person who's sharing the information, he's also becoming slightly empathetic towards his team members and breaking the rigidity barrier that he has that pertains to fixed mindset behaviors. Uh, does that answer your question? Sure.
And thank you, Anmol. And it was really a great informative session.